It's cake time. Today we're making a gluten-free apple honey cake. It's actually also a paleo apple cake, and it's one of my family's favorites. I hope that you'll love it too. Hi there, I'm Nikki Sizemore. Welcome to my kitchen. Welcome back to my channel. We're in the height of fall here in the Hudson Valley. You might even be able to hear my neighbor blowing his leaves next door. Today we're making one of my fall favorites, although we make it year round. It's this gluten-free apple honey cake. Super easy to make. And as I mentioned, it's also a paleo apple cake. It's made with just almond flour and it's sweetened with honey, but it has this ultra moist and tender texture. It's spiced with cinnamon and nutmeg, and it's the kind of cake that you can dress up for a dinner party or just snuggle up with a cup of coffee or even eat for breakfast. All right, let's dive into the dry ingredients. So we're gonna need 2 cups of almond flour. As always, I highly recommend using a kitchen scale if you have one. It makes such a difference, especially with gluten-free baking. So that's 220 grams if you're weighing the flour. Now we're also gonna use a touch of either arrowroot flour or cornstarch, and that's just gonna help with the structure of the cake. We've got baking powder and baking soda to help the cake rise, fine sea salt, and then cinnamon and nutmeg. I love the flavor of nutmeg in this cake. It lends a little bit of that spice. You could do cardamom instead, would be delicious. And that's that. Now we're just gonna whisk this together. And as you can see, my almond flour is super clumpy. So if that's the case, just get in there with your fingers and break it up. You don't want any clumps of almond flour in the batter. All right, so this is looking good. I'm gonna set this aside and grab the wet ingredients, and then we'll finish up the batter. So instead of using a diced apple or apple slices in this cake, we're actually going to grate an apple instead. I tested this cake so many different ways, and the diced apple and the sliced apples just made the cake way too heavy and dense, whereas the grated apple incorporates, it lends moisture. You can use skin and all. We're gonna measure out 3/4 of a cup. It's usually about 1 large apple. And let me just put this in the sink, and then we'll mix up the wet ingredients. You'll need 2 large eggs, 1/4 cup of applesauce, any kind of unsweetened applesauce. There's no oil or butter or other fat in this, so this applesauce is gonna lend a little bit more apple flavor as well as that moisture. And then honey, 1/2 cup of honey. I also do include gram measurements if you prefer to weigh this out. If you don't have honey, you could use maple syrup instead. We have some vanilla paste. This is my secret ingredient when baking, and some almond extract. Love the smell of almond extract. This lends a little bit more of that sweetness. It really complements the apple flavor. Whisk this together. Now we're gonna stir in that grated apple. That's it. No special equipment. All you need, 2 bowls and a whisk. Pour the wet ingredients over the dry ingredients. So I like to get it started with my whisk and then switch over to a spatula. I have an 8-inch cake pan that I've sprayed with cooking spray, or you could rub it with oil and lined with parchment at the bottom. That's gonna make it really easy to remove from the pan. Add the batter. Spread that nice and evenly. I like to top it with some sliced almonds, add some crunch to the top, and it lets people know that they are about to eat an almond cake. We're gonna bake the cake in a 350-degree oven. It only needs about 30 minutes. Bake the cake until it is golden brown and a toothpick inserted in the center comes out clean. Now for the fun part. Let's give it a taste. It kind of gets better with time, so if you can make it early in the day, if you know you're serving it for dinner, then do that. Now you can serve the cake just as it is, but I love to dollop it with a little coconut whipped cream, or you could use regular whipped cream, or even serve it with a scoop of vanilla ice cream. So good. I love the nutmeg in this cake and the cinnamon. Ultra moist, ultra tender. You got the crunch from the almonds on top. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you feel inspired, please like and subscribe below. Don't hesitate to leave me your questions in the comments below. And you can find me over on Instagram @FromScratchFast if you want to tag me in your photos. Thanks again, and I will see you next time.